It's almost like we don't want you to have that political opinion. We don't want you to have that social opinion. We don't want you to disagree with us. We don't care if you're left wing or right wing. We don't want people to see your stuff. You can't even find a lot of stuff in Google searches anymore. They've rigged it so much where it's like, this is what we want you to see. And the stuff that they want you to see is awful, in my opinion. The mainstream right wing and the left wing doesn't come close to the independent creators, and they've actually made it nearly impossible. So it's becoming very Orwellian or Brave New World style, where they're doing. I've been reading the book recently, 1984. They're almost just as bad, or if not worse, than the people in the book.
But why does that matter? Like, why should someone say, oh, well, my stuff's getting banned on YouTube, or go make a new platform? Like, why is it that this platform and what these people are doing, why should anybody care? Why can't they just go start something new?
They can. I agree. People need to be more ambitious and creative. That side of it, I agree with. You don't have to use it. But on the flip side, I guess the counter argument is Google is probably more powerful than the Roman Empire. It's like they have so much pull in every country. They could collapse entire economies in a second, and they've done that in some ways, and even for people who work there. So I see it both ways. I'm like, guys, why do we suck at everything? How come we don't have any companies?
Mm-hmm.
I made a joke about the right wingers. I said, why are you guys only good at Cabela's, Chick-fil-A, and country music? Like, why don't you make a Twitter or YouTube? I was semi-joking, but I was like, why do left-wing people own all of these tech companies, or at least nobody that can see it both ways? So yeah, one way is they're so powerful they need to be stepped in, and another is turn your phone off. I get it.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to what you were saying before, because I think this is a problem on both sides of the political debate, is people aren't grateful at all. Like I wake up, and what helped me kind of get here was being like, I have food, I have water, I have a cell phone. Like my ancestors used to have to take horse and carriage and work in factories. Like my grandfather worked in a mattress factory. My other one worked in an asbestos factory before they knew asbestos was bad, which is not good. So it's like my ability to do this, even on my worst day, I can $15, which pretty much almost everyone has laying around, even if it's their last. You could order food, and somebody that's pretty nice will take the food to your door. That's amazing. So people don't look at that stuff. You can have an opinion, be like, I don't like that Trump's doing this, or like, hey, I don't like this illegal immigration policy. But to spend your whole life in that zone, you're only wasting your own time. And there's always been pros, there's always been cons, but I find the pros of living now, like you said, it is like a video game. I could travel, I could see other people, I could look for the good in people, I could go to the beach. So I don't live in this world of negativity, and that really bothers people online. It's like, they're like, be mad with me, and I'm like, you got to get out of the house, or like go for a jog. Like, what you do spend every day mad on Twitter, no matter what your politics are, you're just playing yourself. Yeah. Most politicians are people that they go into politics with no money and they leave with a lot of money. There's politicians from California, I won't name who, came into office with nothing. They have $100 million on a salary. They're getting the money from somewhere, whether it be lobbyists, you could say pharmacy lobbyists, military lobbyists. There's all sorts of people who pay politicians to do stuff. Other countries even, they talked about that a lot the last 2 years, but they didn't even look that far into it, only in a small section. So I think certain politicians are just puppets in a sense, and I'm the type of person which left-wing anti-war people tend to agree with me sometimes and disagree, because I'm thinking like you're thinking, we need a strong military. I'm not someone who's like, defund it. I'm glad we're all over the place, but I think what we've been doing in Libya, in Syria, in other countries is actually hurting the United States economically, hurting us safety-wise, hurting those countries. It's a lose-lose-lose, because I feel like with the research I've done, that we're not doing it because of America or because of safety or because of those people. They always use a kid picture. Like, we got to go to Syria. This kid, half those pictures have been debunked. The father of the Syrian kid said they took a picture of my kid. They like propped him up. There's a video of them propping him up, and then they used it for the opposite of what the father wanted. So I think what they're doing is there's people in other countries that we're acting on behalf of them. And also, if you're a pharmacy company, there's reports of them giving pills that had like HIV positive to other countries because they didn't want to lose the money, but they didn't want to give it here.
That's,
I don't want to say the company. Yeah, if you search, I know the company, but I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to risk myself legally by saying it. But if you search, HIV pills, South America, like pharmacy, it'll pop up, and it's not it's not even like Alex Jones, it's CBS and mainstream sources. So where the pharmacy industry's become corrupt because they want to sell no matter what, and you see a lot of opioid deaths and overprescription. Same, there's a whole industry that's $1 billion industry around weapons. So even Trump, as much as I've gone out on a limb to say he's done a lot of things that are positive, he continuously sells weapons to Saudi Arabia. And the hijackers from 9/11, they weren't from Iraq or Iran. Most of them were from Saudi Arabia. I'm not saying to cut ties with them. I get they got a lot of money, oil. I got friends from Saudi Arabia. But you're telling me we went to these countries, attacked Gaddafi, who had nothing to do with 9/11 at all, and then give weapons. Even Trump will sell billions of dollars of weapons to the country where most of the hijackers were from. So there's something going on where it seems like, kind of like with Google or YouTube, I think they should morally police their site, but they've lost almost total control, and it seems like everyone's becoming a little insane where they're not the moral judge, and they favor awful people sometimes, and they constantly attack what I consider the best and most honest people.
Well, don't you think everybody has the best intentions possible?
But I've met people at billion-dollar companies that have say pushed a product or done stuff that has hurt a lot of people. They knew that, so I think there are a lot of people, or at least some, who do it for their interest. I think there's a lot of people that are like, listen, I know that this product is going to hurt millions of people, but it's going to make me billions of dollars. So I think it is a mix, but I think people underestimate the amount of people who are either selfish or so far gone that they're not thinking about everyone, and they're thinking about themselves. But the sad irony of it is usually those type of people crush themselves in the end as well, or their company. So,
well, I mean, people are people. And that's what, like I said, even though I know these people, maybe they have the design to do something positive, you can't trust a person. We've created this whole game of society and civilization, and we're all trying to compete against each other, with each other, to get, to the top, so to say. So, yeah, like you said, sometimes corporations will go out and, they don't tell people that this water's got cancer in it, and now people are drinking this thing, and, well, hey, we know we only have to pay a certain penalty in order, and we'll give these people what's it called, payment, settlement, and it's all good. No worries. We know we can get away with doing that, and we knew that stuff was in there. But again, is that a nefarious thing? Is that just the way the game has been designed? Because the same thing can go for vaccines. Vaccines have gotten us as a civilization, or certain medicines have gotten us as a society. Like polio is like my favorite and best example. Like, it's literally extinct as a disease. It doesn't exist. It does in Pakistan, Afghanistan now, because the Taliban prevents people in certain areas that they have control over in pockets for people to go inside. And I know that's been a huge thing that's happened recently, and it's like
in the United States especially, and other places, we have checks and balances for a reason. Like, we have free speech, so you're allowed to have any opinion about vaccines. Now Facebook is and any anti-vax content they're deranking or getting rid of, so they're taking away essentially free speech on that area in that platform. And it's a combo of both, where certain polio vaccine and others are excellent. They've eradicated it. It's awesome. But these companies have been proven time and time again that they will go the distance to make more money. So my thought now, which is almost at the point where if I say it, I could risk losing my whole channel. But I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I do think they're pumping way too many in kids at once. I do think it's causing illnesses, and I did a research paper or video yesterday where I quoted CBS and the CDC.gov. So it's a government website. There was 2 cases, one in Florida, I think one in California, where everybody who caught measles vaccine and mumps vaccine at the school, they were all actually vaccinated within the last 15 months. So in those certain cases, no unvaccinated kids. And then I post this and people say, are you an anti-vaxxer? This is CBS and the CDC. This is the government website telling you, the Center of Disease Control. That's a little strange to me. So there's more mutations of it. Maybe they don't have the right one, but we do have to question these pharmacy companies, especially real quick. I want to say Bayer. They
Yeah.
bought out Monsanto recently, and Bayer got their start. Well, I think it was like selling heroin. You got to look it up, but I get it. 1900s were wild. You got to do what you got to do. But they also worked with Nazi Germany to kill people, and that's documented on Wikipedia and I think CBS as well and other
Yeah, was
sites.
anybody at that company still working with Nazi Germany or
I'm sure.
affiliated or connected
I mean,
to?
not Nazi Germany, but I'll drop another gem that.
Because it's a German company, for people who don't know.
Yeah. And Volkswagen and others come from. But when we defeated Nazi Germany, we had something called Operation Paperclip. This is on Wikipedia as well. 1,600 of the top German scientists, leaders, political leaders, 1,600 all came to the United States, not for a refugee, but they lived. They worked in the United States government. And people, the counter argument is, well, they were talented, they wanted to take them, or are they still connected? But imagine if we defeated ISIS and we took 1,600 members of ISIS, brought them to the United States, and they had government positions.
Mm-hmm.
The space program was founded by a Nazi. I mean, the amount of Nazi influence, I'm not saying they're all still Nazis, but they call random Trump supporters a Nazi, but they don't look at literal Nazis who, in my personal perspective, have possibly taken over the food and medicine industry. And I'm not saying they're all bad now,
Mm-hmm.
but if I'm not allowed to question that, and if nobody thinks about that stuff, that's how they kind of get away with what they got away with a lot of products and stuff they've sold us. It's because no one really thought about it. But now that they do, yeah, there's lawsuits and there's blowback, but for some people 40 years too late.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's how the civilization society game's played. Hey, do you want Russia to get these guys? And do you want Russia, because we're in this whole nuclear arms race that happened in the Cold War right after World War II. So, yeah, do you put these guys on trial? Do you take them in? I mean, morally,
Yeah.
justified. I mean, you should be going and put these guys on trial for doing the things they did. I mean, I know you mentioned one of the ones that ran the space program. I think one of them was like in charge of a factory in Berlin where they hung Jews.
Yeah.
During then, and then he was running and working for the space program.
Yeah, I just have a question. I'm like, did you guys check to make sure they stopped doing this? Because I didn't read that part of the thing where I'm not saying they all still are, and you can take talented people. I get it. In a war, you fight for your country. You have to do that. But I find that a lot of the historical narrative doesn't add up. And if you question it, they call you a conspiracy theorist or crazy. And now they're starting to delete history and basically rewrite a lot of history. So
Where have you seen that?
Deleting history? Or,
Yeah, because I'm a big history guy. I studied history in college.
They're banning a lot of books from Amazon. They're starting to delete, like I said, historical context videos from YouTube. Historians who have a more nuanced perspective, I'd say, because even in the worst things throughout history, it's not like, oh, they're great or when they were terrible, but you have to, if you really study history, like, you go step by step and like this happened, then they rose, like, it's more simple than bad. Don't talk, like, ban it. So, those type of things, I feel like they're, even today, who's going to write the history book of today? Is Donald Trump the greatest president ever, or is he a literal Nazi? Like, depending who gains control of our history, we're either going to learn that this guy was like, the greatest president since Lincoln, or that he was the worst guy since Hitler. So it's like, I think about those things. I'm like, who's going to write the story of today?
Yeah, totally. I'd look at history with a grain of salt too.